All right, looks like we're live. Just do a quick audio test. I think that can come up just a hair. Check, 1, 2. Close enough for government work. If I need to adjust it later, I will. Turn it up to 11. Well, thank you, Mr. Williams. I'm so glad that you're popping in today. Your ears must be hurting. I was talking about you last night on the stream. I was really hoping that you'll be by soon. That way you can go ahead and do some leather demonstration. I think that'd be kind of nice. But thanks for watching on Twitch. Don't need those on just yet. Hey, good afternoon. That's one of our German buddies watching, I believe. So I guess it's evening there, but thanks for tuning in. So last night, just making sure I remember all my measurements from last night. Last night I started another billet, 15 and 20 and 1095. We are at 8 layers right now. I'm going to take it up to 32, just like I did with the previous chef knife. This is going to be a matching set. Nate, I'm shocked that you're not playing Destiny right now. So if I want 32 layers out of this, just need to cut this into 4 equal pieces, which means they're all going to be 3 inches long. I'm not going to bother doing the very ends here. I'm going to put them in the center. That'll minimize on the amount of cuts I need to do. Speed squares really come in handy. There we go. So that's 3 cuts. Ah, what color are you gonna make that dragon mask? Whatever you do, don't make it purple or Alan's gonna need one. Yep. What are you using? Just standard veg tan leather? Good. Turn off the mic here for a second. Just I know you guys can't see me on the main camera. Making sure. Yeah, it looks like everything's good set up. I'll scroll pan over. That's it. Yeah, pan over just a little bit. I'm just gonna take some of this rough stuff off really quick. This is on the side that I did not mark. So. There you go. Turn the mic back on. Now I'm using that speed square to transfer these 3 cuts over to the side that I just ground. This came out really, really clean last night. Something to be said for just not, dicking around. And just using that power hammer. We didn't have any prolonged periods where it was where we're sitting in the heat. So working really fast. Didn't really have time to scale up too much. And it's really nice and smooth. There are no hammer marks in there whatsoever. So, before I go too far, as much as I hate to do it, it's time to get some heat going. There we go. Just got to remember to not put the lighter in my pocket. Always a problem. All these years of having been a smoker, it's like you panic when you don't have a lighter. But I quit smoking 8 months ago, almost 9 months ago, and now I put a lighter in my pocket, then it sits on my dresser, I forget to bring it down to the shop. I get down here, I need to light a fire. What happens? I have to walk all the way back up to the house just to find a lighter. Should put one on a string somewhere. That's what I should do. All right, so got that kind of clean. I'll hit it with the grinder, but first I'm going to go ahead and trim these 3 pieces off. Yeah, you know, I went full-time vaping in December and haven't looked back. And I gotta say, if it wasn't for, you know, vaping something that didn't taste like cigarettes, that was the easiest way to get off of them. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's amazing waking up in the morning and not having your clothes reek of cigarette smoke. It's just refreshing. The only problem now is when I go to bars that still allow smoking. Okay, there's only one bar that I go to, but it's actually the club that I belong to. But we still allow smoking in the bar room. All right, what grit do I have on there? 200. That definitely needs to go. Oh man, every time you have a couple of glasses of bourbon or a few beers, that cigarette smoke really seems very enticing. And I've stolen cigarettes or borrowed cigarettes. No, I never borrowed them. Because I've never given them back. But yeah, recently, I was out with some friends and had one, and like, man, this just sucks. I have no idea why I used to do that. It's like licking an ashtray. You know what? I'm gonna take that down to a little bit of a rougher grit. It's nice. It's using the lavalier mic. This grinder no longer blasts people's ears out. Is that? Yeah. Other people tend to offer you cigarettes because they want you to. They feel bad if other people aren't smoking with them. Okay, I'm happy with that. Trying to get all that oxidation off. Just a few deeper spots on here. Barely deep. There we go. Just wanted to make sure. The last thing you want is to have a little bit of delamination. Today I am working on a companion knife for the one I did a week and a half ago. This one's going to be the big boy version. I'm really thinking I'm going to take it more French style, whereas the one that I did a week and a half ago, that was more of a German style chef's knife. If you're unfamiliar with what that means, just look it up on the internet. It's so much easier. it's the way the edge is laid out in relation to the spine. I've certainly got a lot of steel here. Okay. They definitely have some heat to them. Well, that's the problem with these type of clamps. When your stock changes, you got to readjust everything. Everything lined up. Just get this close to center. There we go. You know, I've really been debating a Santoku. It's been a while since I've made one. I have a Yanagi Ba that I need to finish up. Close your eyes, kids. Yeah, if you're doing the Japanese style knives, you know, really pay attention to uh, what that particular knife calls for as far as edge geometry goes. With Santokus, you can either go Western style, double bevels, or Japanese style and just have a single bevel. as a guy who cut his teeth in professional kitchens, um, I've used both, although not until I started making them, because it's really odd to just see a single bevel knife here in the United States, at least when I was working in kitchens. But it's definitely, there's a learning curve to cutting with a single bevel knife. However, I do like it. Nathan, I really do not enjoy your negativity, and it is absolutely not. It's right here on the wall. If you're looking for blue, like blue number 2, oh wait, you're in Germany, right? I know how to get it here in the United States. I know of a supplier that does carry it. However, I also would not be afraid. Like, I really like steels such as W1 or W2. They work great. It's going to give you roughly the same sort of performance. I mean, when you get into the blue and the white with Japanese steel, it's really about the purity of that steel. I mean, there's other factors that go into it, but I'm trying to boil it down into very layman terms. But a nice steel like W1, if you can get it, W2. W2 really shows an awesome hamon. And I know you guys over there in the European Union have different grades of steel. I mean, they're the same grades that we use. It's just there's different letters and numbers and stuff that go along with it. Yeah, if you're going to go Sanmai on it, really just find yourself like a nice L6. You can find that, or 15N20. I've actually had some really good success with 8670 modified, and the only problem I have with it is it's really, really difficult if you're trying to drill any holes through it. Even after quote unquote properly annealing it, it's still a bear. But I mean, if you want to order from the United States, I would contact the New Jersey Steel Baron. They they often carry blue and white steel. Yeah, I actually have an app on my phone that cross-references everything, plus gives all the heat treat properties, and it's just really nice. I mean, it's not necessarily what we use as bladesmiths as far as heat treating goes, everything that, everything that they list as far as specs goes is based on that 1 inch by 1 inch cross section. So, your numbers, it gives you a good launching off part. So, oh, thank God for iced tea. I wish it was colder, but I think it's going to definitely be a hot one today. See what the thermometer says here on the wall. Yeah, we're already at 90. But it's only 87 inside the shop, so that's good. If I wasn't actually live streaming this, I would have this other door right here open. Uh, is that a storm coming through? Yeah, down south we've got one coming in. I forget the name of it, but 150 mile an hour. I think that's supposed to make landfall, or already did this morning, and it's going to go all the way through into the into the weekend. It's just funny. Germany is not a place I would think of as getting, tropical storms or hurricanes. But we Americans suck at our European geography, so I turned up the temperature in the forge. Just need to go ahead and get it up to welding temperature. So after I set this weld, just going to draw it out. And then I need to cut it in half, and we're going to put some 1095 in there. It's heating up. I'm going to go prop our front door open a little bit. Almost there. Say about another 2 minutes. Just a touch more. Get the hydraulic press running and primed up. So that was our first heat just to bring everything together. I could probably go straight under the hammer after that, but I prefer to turn this around, do it one more time. Get a more aggressive brush though. Just a little bit of flux. Everything seems to be cooling down nice and uniform, so that's a good thing. If it wasn't being uniform in the way that the heat was transferring out of it, then that would mean that we didn't have a good solid weld. Really need some clean shop rags around here. Put that on the list of mandatory equipment. So let that come back up to temp. Well, let's see if I can get a list of what's going on here. I didn't even check. So our stream. Oh yeah, good. It is updated for Thursday morning. All the fun number things to check. Almost there. I'm gonna set this up right. And reposition it here in the forge. Yeah, I used to do that a lot, primarily with 1095, just because 1095 really gets a very active hamon. Here in the States, a lot of guys use Rutland furnace cement, and there's two different types. So you have to look at what you're getting. You don't want the one you want the one that's more like clay. You don't want the one that's grainy and sandy. As a matter of fact, I'll mix it with a little bit of water just to thin down the slurry. But the issue with it, in order to get something really nice and active, uh, it requires I've always gotten the best results when I do a basically when we use the electric oven and we use that for our thermocycling ahead of time. Um, so after forging out the blade, I'll go ahead and anneal it. Then that way I can go ahead and drill the holes in the handle and everything else. Whatever needs to be dealt with that way. And then we go ahead and normalize it and really clean it up. I mean, I found the best results come when you take it up to 220 at least first. Yeah, if you can find natural clay, we've got a lot of red clay here in Pennsylvania, so doesn't doesn't exactly work all that well here. But I know some places down in Jersey, Delaware, Maryland that have some clay with just really good properties to it. I mean, there's other guys that they take their clay and they put rice ash in it, other things, and I mean there's as many different ways of doing it as there are bladesmiths. Everybody has their preference, I suppose. They're almost ready for that next weld. Nate, you're from Jersey. The New Jersey Steel Barons in Jersey. There's a pizza place I really like in Jersey as well. Yeah, something like that. I believe that's what the rice ash does. I've never worked with it, so yes, for us, you're right. This is the worst porno ever. Yeah, Jersey for us is not an island close to England. It's a place south of New York City where they dump all their trash. I get a lot of students from Jersey, though. And South Jersey's just gorgeous. There's some there's some spots up north that, man, I'd almost put a hunting cabin in there, but it's so close to New York City. Yes, Mr. Walters. I think if I was taking my clothes off live streaming on YouTube or Twitch, people would be tipping me to put my clothes back on. I'm just going to draw this out a little bit under a round die on here. Since we started out with a 3-inch block, I'd like to give myself a little bit more real estate to hold on to before I switch over to power. I I make my own vape juice. So this is a double chocolate with cream de mint and some sweetener in it. I was always a menthol smoker for 20 some odd years, so having a little bit of mint there is just kind of nice. But when I first started vaping again, I went to things like grape, and I did some lemon stuff. Uh, anything that tasted as far away from cigarettes as possible was really nice, just to get my mind off of cigarettes. Boy, you get through that first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and it just becomes easier and easier and easier. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I should have a bottle of nicotine salts. They should be coming in the mail today. And then I add that to my PG, VG. Basically, I make my liquid, and then I add the nicotine liquid by weight. Now, I'm doing salts, so salts are a higher nicotine. They're actually much closer to the same action you get from a cigarette, the way that your body absorbs it. Hey, Jeff, you joined us. Boy, now all we need is Dwayne and Bill. We got the crew from last night. So I'll turn that around, and then from the other side. And I think we'll be ready to go under the hammer. Yes, Nate, I know. Still trying to figure out if that major delay that we're getting is from Restream IO, which is what separates it to both platforms. Although I do think that YouTube has a certain amount of delay in it. Huh, that's weird. So I sound like I'm underwater on Twitch, huh? Yeah, I think that W2 would be a great steel for doing a Santoku. Now, when you use that W2, that's one of those steels that if you want to get a Hamon in there, I forget the numbers that I've been using or was using on it. I think I ran it at 1650, held it for about an hour, dropped it down to 1575. Held it for another hour, and then eventually I think I dropped down to 1450 for yet another hour. So it was like it was basically starting. The best formula I can give you is I started out 200 degrees above its austenitic temperature. and then finish out at essentially just like 25 degrees or so above the lowest point that I could quench. But it really enjoys that thermocycling in order to bring out the activity if you're going to go ahead and clay it for a hamon. Although if I was going to go with clay, I don't think I'd end up doing the Sam Mai. That's just me. Things like 15N20 aren't going to show a hamon, so it's going to look kind of weird. I would just do it straight W2 if that was the case. There we go. That's looking pretty uniform. Ah, don't drop stuff. Most importantly, don't panic. Oh, looks like that Nikon froze again. You'd think that the drivers from the camera company would do a good job at not freezing up. However, I use a homebrew driver for the same camera on my Mac because Nikon hasn't written drivers for it, and it works perfectly. So, go figure. Yeah, so if you're going to go clay, don't even bother doing a Sam Mai with it. You know, I think you're going to get a really, if you do the right cycle, look it up. There's some stuff on, like, I want to say Bladesmith's forums. It's fairly old information out there, but I know there's some guys that really know their stuff when it comes to getting a hamon on there. I actually have some W2 in like 1.25" round bar. I need to get some more in flat bar. And yes, I know I can just take the round bar and make it flat, but I don't know. There could be a day when I need that 1.25" W2, you know. So is that 25 millimeter around? That's 1 inch round. Or is it 25 mil flat bar? Because if it's flat bar, then I'd look for something like, I don't know. My metric is not that great, but I'd probably look for something like 25 by 6. That's just under 1/4 inch thick. But you know, you're going to be doing a lot of forging on this, so I like to give myself the leeway. I'm still gonna take it down, to like 2 millimeter, but yeah, here in the United States, we just call 25 millimeter 1 inch. We we know that there's a difference, but just smoothing out any marks from under the press. Yeah, I think 2 weeks ago I kind of mentioned a story about NASA sending up a probe towards Mars that we ended up losing, and it's basically because somebody did the conversion of imperial to metric based on using 25 millimeters for an inch. And so when they ended up getting a couple million miles away, they were off by a lot, 60,000 miles or something like that. Trajectory is a funny thing. Well, how many milliliters are in a pint? All of our beer comes in pints, and then we also have the imperial pint, which is 20 ounces. Yeah, we steal a little bit from the British as far as that goes. And of course, most of our American beers come in 12-ounce bottles or cans. A lot of Canadian beers come in 11.5 ounces. But again, they do that whole metric thing. Definitely getting there. I think I need to grab a piece of 1095 that I want to use. So I'm just going to use my anvil here to measure this out. I'll use this right by the step. Just going to take a piece of yellow crayon. Just make myself a mark there. That way I know. That's my goal as far as how wide I want this piece. Yes, we know that everything is divisible by 10, but we're brought up thinking that, there's 5,280 feet in a mile. But the concept of a meter doesn't make any sense to us, so. Because a meter's not a yard. And a yard is 3 feet. Okay, so I don't want to go any narrower than this, but I do want to clean it up a little bit. And we're going to draw it out to, I don't know, maybe about 10 inches. Sorry, that would be 254 millimeters. I don't know. You Germans can stick with your math that makes sense. I know it's not a German thing. It's a whole rest of the world aside from the United States thing. Oh, that looks really cool. See if I can, I don't know, can I get this on camera? So this is what Nate's working on right now. Which way do I have to focus this? I can't see. Too many glaring lights in here right now. That looks really nice, Nate. Anxious to see what it looks like when you're actually done. If I was actually streaming this with my Mac, I could have just pulled that up and shown it as a picture here, but I think in order for me to do that with this Windows machine, I'd have to like plug my phone in and email it to myself or something weird. If I was doing this on the Mac, it's just drag and drop. No, the touchscreen's still up on the wall. That's just for the CNC table. But I've had it's an HP gaming rig that I have. It's got a GTX 1050 in it. I don't know. I got it at Walmart Christmas time, like 3 years ago, I think. It was very cheap for what it is. It's just one of those computers that they don't keep in stock. It's like they get 2 of them in and you've got to go grab it right away. But I think it's like they bring it in so that you buy this $400 computer, and when that's sold out, they step you up to the $1,200 version. But I don't think the little touchscreen PC that's on the wall here, I think that would actually probably work for this. It just doesn't have enough USB ports. So yes, Nate, when you're back up here, we have a machine for you to play the Pathfinder game on Friday nights. I just don't have a monitor for it right now because the monitor's right here on the wall, and I do have one of those old square LCDs, but that is actually too small to use Foundry on. Foundry yells at you. It says you're 5 pixels off from its requirement. Yeah, like I said, it's the entire rest of the world against us as far as the metric system goes. Even our neighbors to the north and south, they're all metric. Ugh. So we're almost there. So I want to measure out on the anvil. I want to measure out what my goal is for this. So I'm going to use the step on this anvil. I know the entire anvil, 17 inches across the face, but I don't need to go. I don't need to go that full distance. Not for this starting billet. I just want to. So I'm going to mark out my goal here, and I'm just going to go a little bit over because I know that we're going to have some waste. I know some Germans that speak English far better than most Americans. So. And here in the area where I grew up, there's a lot of people that speak what we call Pennsylvania Dutch or Pennsylvania German. But it's really, in a lot of the schools, they teach Pennsylvania Dutch, German, and English. But that's within our Amish community. The public schools here don't do that. Oh, so it looks like we are about 3/8 of an inch. So I just want to go ahead. I want to smooth this out. Got some loose play going on here with the hammer. That's fine. Just wondering what changed. Make sure my belt's still good back here. It's definitely loosening up a little. When it's a hot day here in the forge, that Kevlar stretches out. Yeah, our slang is definitely a lot different. Let's see what's going on with this hammer. Yeah, I think that tension is definitely, the belt's definitely stretching out there a little bit. I'd have to do something to tension that up. But I can go over to the rolling mill for this next part. Yes, Nate, I can actually break stuff in my own shop without you around to blame it on. That's fine. It was getting boring using that power hammer anyway. I've got some other belts here. Hey, at least I know where the belts are. Without having to call you up and say, Nate, where the hell did that get to? But yeah, so now I've got my width right. I just really want to go ahead and get the length. So this is where the rolling mill actually does come in handy. What time is it? 1:30, huh? Or a little after 1:30. I should check on these tanks back here as well. Huh. I don't know, Nate. Maybe when you're up here in the shop nagging me about it. You're right. It should be properly mounted onto the ground or onto the floor. Okay. Just need to couple more weeks. Move that forge out of the way. Oh, nice. Nikki's back. Or will be back. So when's he start school? Boy, I'm noticing my one camera up at the top is so far off. Is that hurricane gonna postpone his travel plans at all? I I don't know if it's scheduled to hit Florida or not. I saw that it's going to hit parts of Tennessee. I have family down there, so. Oh, okay. He came up today. With the ex-wife. That sounds thrilling. So this rolling mill really does a great job of bringing everything down very uniformly. Right now, here in the shop, let me see. Outside, we are looking at that's about 31 degrees centigrade. No, sorry, 32.7 degrees. So 91 in the shop. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Come on in. The water's fine. Got about another 3 inches yet to go. I think I've got a Damascus class coming up in early September. Glad to hear, though, that you're doing some stock removal. It's always a good way to get off the ground. But just remember, it's you were here in the shop, you got to learn a lot of stuff, but it's such a black hole. It's going to suck you in. Next thing you know, you're going to buy a lot more equipment. want a little bit more heat on that. Yes, Nate, I do believe they are still sitting on the bench. However, there's a lot of stuff piled up on top of them. So don't ask me to go grab them right now. That's one of the reasons why I figured doing a live stream is a good thing. Get to answer questions. People, live. It's a good thing. It's kind of like being here in the shop, except you don't have to be here in the shop. Instead, you can sit in your air conditioning and watch me work. There we go. So we're about a quarter of an inch thick, and still another inch and a half yet to go. So I'm going to end up taking this down to about 3/16, I think, under the rolling mill. That should give us a little bit more than what we want. Jeff, I'll see you later on. I'll probably be back this evening doing the actual forging of the blade, so. Yeah. Almost. Let's take another look at this hammer, see what's. Yeah, it's just that belt stretches out when it's hot. Do have some belt dressing here, though. There we go. That's the ticket. Just want to double check our width. Right on the money. Just a little thick yet at this end. So what are you doing with the stainless foil? I don't know that it would be great for canister. I'd almost grab some square tube. Although if you just line a piece of square tube with the stainless, that might work. Although I know a guy who's in Argentina who's doing a lot of forge welding with stainless in tubes, and he's very, very successful at it. So you might end up forge welding that stainless foil to the outside. Not that would be a huge problem, but it may not give you the first result that you're going for. Here in the States, we use, what is that, titanium oxide? I can't remember what chemical it is exactly, but it's the same, what we call correction fluid. We used to use it a lot on typewriters. Then just Whiteout is a popular brand name here. And then just paint that on the inside of the canister. I think it's titanium dioxide. If you actually do the titanium dioxide thing right, your whole canister will just peel off. Be right back, guys. This is definitely going to give me the width that I want. What did I do with... just comparing it to that other knife. Oh, got to reset that. I wonder if this camera has so many problems because of the heat in here. fairly uniform. Just have a little bit right here. Last, say, 2 inches of that. And then I'm going to use the hydraulic press just to bring everything back into square again. Just changing the dies out. So I'm just going to square up these, screw up the outside edges. That should also knock a fair amount of this scale off. Just going to take it tall. I go flat. I'm going to go back into the heat after turning it around. Do the other side. I wonder why this camera up here on the top left, it's about 30 seconds off. Hey, Mark, this is going to be a regular thing, so tune in anytime. Just don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell. That's on YouTube. And on Twitch, go ahead and follow us on Twitch as well. No sound on Twitch. That's really weird. There's definitely sound on Twitch. I know how I know there's sound on Twitch because I'm listening on Twitch. Like, why the hell am I checking this? If there wasn't sound on Twitch, I wouldn't be hearing everything going on here. go ahead and get a little bit more length out of this. Why not? The knife from a week and a half ago. Let's take a measurement of that. So we are just at 10 1/4 inches. And we've got more than that with this billet right now. And I'm going to be adding another 1/4 inch thick mass of 1095 to the middle here. So if I want to aim for a 12 to 14 inch chef's knife, that's easily done. The reason I'm going back into the rolling mill is just to make sure that everything's a little bit more uniform before I have to grind it off. But the nice thing is I only have to grind one side of this. And then cut it in half, and we're good. Mark, what kind of equipment are you eyeing up? If you're still there, I don't know if you are or not. Definitely. Got some nice length out of there. Gonna grab a hammer. Oh look, I have one right here. What? Any particular brand? I don't know if I'd use a toaster oven. I may have explained that in class. My problem is that to use a toaster oven effectively, you really gotta make sure that it's insulated. So that involves tearing the whole thing apart, stuffing it with something like K.O. wool, and then putting it back together and making sure that it doesn't overheat. But the problem is, a couple years back, I think I did a video, but I don't think it's on YouTube. Might be on Vimeo or something. But essentially, I put a thermocouple inside the toaster oven and a PID beside it. And essentially, when turning it on, the toaster oven went up. I had it set at like 375 degrees, and it spiked up to about 625 and stayed there for about half an hour. And it just, since most toaster ovens are literally just a metal shell with some really thin tin on the inside There's no insulation whatsoever. So it doesn't have any decent thermal rating. So it's not holding that. It's not insulated. You'd be much better off putting it in your home oven. So I'm just straightening this out. There's one little spot that I just see a little flare, and it's like right here on that billet. It wouldn't affect anything, but it annoys me. And I'll see it when I'm cutting and grinding and stacking, so. Yeah, I'm still working on the billet for that chef's knife. I still have to cut it, and we're gonna put some 1095 in the middle as a core. So I'm just prepping it for that. That's good. Try to remove as much scale as I can. So this was a 3-inch billet when I started streaming today. And Mark, you tell your wife to stop with that sort of negativity. Depending on the grade of steel that you're using, you can go ahead and quench that in, say, preheated canola oil, and she wouldn't think twice about putting a pan with canola oil in her oven. So, I mean, unless she likes her brownies to stick. Yes, Nate. If this was Fortune Fire, the producers would have cut up everything, and it'd be done already. Thanks a lot, you smartass. And yeah, never underestimate the power of a wire brush. I get the same ones that we used in the restaurant for cleaning the flat top grills. So that looks good. I'm going to let that cool down. Yes, Fortune Fire is all an illusion. The International Church of Blacksmiths. I think we could do that. No cylinder requirements. You just need to have a forge. So tell her that you need an even heat oven. Preferably one with the touch screen and wireless interface plus an Ethernet port. That way, when you're out to dinner with her, once everything returns to normal, you can actually check on your heat treat constantly while you're supposed to be talking and eating and, socializing. That's interesting, Nate. Because I've gone back and I've watched the Twitch streams and the sound is fine. Obviously, what I'm hearing in my headphones, I mean, I just assume it's poor quality Bluetooth, monitors in my ears. But technically, I guess I could put the shop speaker on, but then I'd probably get a lot of echo and feedback. So let's move some stuff around. I'm actually going to grind this while it's hot. So I don't really want I don't want the forge to cool down too much. I'm not familiar with forge armor. I've used ITC 100, I've used Plistix, KO Wool, Vesuvius 3000. I've used a lot of products out there, but I've never heard of forge armor. Now, if someone from Forge Armor is watching, I would gladly try out their product here live and give an opinion if they sent me some. Just like if somebody from KMG is watching this. True Grit Abrasives, whatever, I'm open to sponsorships. Titanium is definitely interesting. It doesn't make a good knife, but I've used it in the past for making dive knives for guys that do scuba diving in saltwater. Oh, have I ever tried to forge armor? Boy, see, this is why I should actually read the screen. Yes, I used to do a lot of historical prop work. And so, yes, I've made everything from basically full plate, ornamental pieces, you name it. we had an English wheel at my first shop, and that really helps for doing a lot of the big pieces. You know, a press plate is nothing but, I mean, it's the same skills involved as turning out a car fender. I always liked using the English wheel. I'd love to get one, but I know I'd be back to a whole nother learning curve again. It's been years, and I don't do that stuff anymore. So all right, so that looks pretty good there. This is still pretty hot, but I'm gonna hit this on the grinder quick. The belt sander. Yes, I know. I did. I was the demonstrating blacksmith for the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair from 1997 until 2015. So, and I did a lot of arms and armor specifically for Renaissance fairs. And I still forge stuff for King Richard's Fair, which is right outside of Boston in Massachusetts. We have a friend of ours that has a shop there, and he sells our wares for us. All right. So that looks pretty good. Now we're just going to find the middle of this. So when I'm doing that, I have to figure out, there's obviously going to be a little bit of waste here on either end of this billet. The one end of the billet was the end that we did not trim. So there's going to be a lot more waste there. Almost, yeah, about a good 2 inches. But here on this end, you just want to really just figure out what it's going to be straight. So I marked that just so I get an idea as to what my overall length is, or usable length is. And now, where did I put my tape measure? Of course, I didn't put it back in the drawer where it belongs, but I have an extra one in there. I have another one floating around out here. So we're at 11 1/4 inches. I'm actually going to pretend that this is just 11 inches. So 5 1/2 inches. That is our rough center mark. I'm going to go 5 1/2 inches from this line. And then five and a half from there. Just go right in between those two marks. Just makes it simple. Well, it's just about keeping an open mind. I mean, you know, I will admit there's a lot of people here in my country that don't that do get a little weird about the whole 1250 year anniversary. Hey, that's a long time. I live in a house that is 220 years old, and that's really old here in the States. Sorry, actually, it's 210 years old. It was built in 1810. So, all right. We're a very young country. Of course, technically Germany is actually a much younger country than the United States, but you guys have had civilization, or not civilization, but modernization as far as buildings and everything else go. Hey, welcome back, Jeff. Got boring, huh? Let's get our 1095 prepped as well. So just wanted to mark that out. Grab another cold, refreshing drink. It's not so cold anymore. Go reset this camera once again. Haha, access, huh? All right, so I'm going to trim this off. It's 3 cuts on this piece, and then just 1 cut on that. Ooh, and I just realized, so this is not the steel that I want to use. This is actually 8670M. Great steel, but I don't want to try to weld that. Go, let's see what we got here. I will find the right piece eventually. There it is. Okay. So I'll have to remeasure this, but that's not a huge problem. Jeff, you're right. Spell check is the bane of all of our existences. Okay. So now I just need to measure this out. So I'm going to use a glove to move these pieces around. I didn't really give them time to cool down out of the forge. So now I'm going to cut this this 1095. I'm actually going to cut this a little bit longer. Give myself just a length to hold on to. I think. Yeah, screw it. We'll just do it the same. Hasn't really been a problem not having anything to hold on to. There you go. That was the loud portion of the afternoon. Now I've got to clean all this mill scale and paint off of here. Well, that was easy. You know, I realized that last night I did the whole streaming thing, and I had my microphone set up as like a 300 millisecond delay. I was wondering why things just didn't seem to sync exactly the way that I thought they should. Ooh. Now, I just want to check something here. That is a... No. I found a much thicker piece of 1095 up on my rack. But it's just not quite wide enough. That's fine. This is going to be plenty for what I'm doing. Is there a is there an American equivalent to that? I'm not sure, but I think work stop. No, I thought my 15 and 20 was from work stop. It's from Oldenholm. Which I believe is a Swedish company, but so there we go. Let's get that forge fired up again. If you're really looking for, you know, white steel, you know, Japanese white steel, I believe, now I'm thinking about it, I think the Toshiba company, I think that's who it is. You know, they've got a lot of big companies there that you assume, oh well, they just make electronics or whatever, but they've got their hands in a lot of jars, so to speak. And I want to say Toshiba company actually makes steel, and I want to say they produce what's known as white steel, but they only do it like once a year. Same with the stuff that's wrapped in blue paper or blue steel. So again, kids, close your eyes. Just a real quick tack on here. I just don't want this popping apart in the forge. But I also don't want to go crazy with the weld. I'm only trying to do it on the ends that I know are going to be trimmed off. And the last thing we want is for that weld to actually come out in the actual Damascus itself. That would just be ugly. There's no reason to do it that way. So there's our new starting billet. Bring that up to temp. Changing our pressure. This is our final weld. This will give us the billet that we'll later take on this evening. This is what our chef's knife is going to be made from. I'm starting to get some sweat underneath my man boobs here. And under my arms, but it's definitely right in here. The whole safety glasses, man. Need to get a pair that breathes a little bit better for summertime, that's for sure. During the winter, it doesn't bother me. So once we get this up to a good 1700 degrees, consistently, that's when I'm going to go ahead, pull it out, brush it, and apply my flux. Now, because this billet is 5.5 inches long, my longest dies are only 6 inches. So normally, if I wanted to do a longer billet, I'd actually cut it and stack it higher, just for my press, because I like to do it all in one press. So we're almost there. The centerpiece, the straight 1095, is just a little cool towards the opening of the forge. Not that it needs much. I mean, this literally just came off the grinder. Again, flux is not glue. Just going pretty light on this. Mark, you didn't miss much. Got everything drawn out. Got 11 inches of usable material. So cut it in half. Gave me 2 pieces of 5.5 inches. And then I cut a piece of 1095 the same length. Cleaned everything up. And now I've got a stack of 3 layers here. Damascus on either side and 1095 going down the middle. So now I'm just getting ready to do my final forge weld. This is going to give me the billet that I'm going to use later on tonight for forging down this chef's knife. But once I get this done and drawn out to my starting length, I'm going to go ahead and finish the stream here. And I'm going to take a little bit of a break, get some lunch. Then I'll probably come back about 6 o'clock. I've only been doing the whole streaming thing for a couple of weeks, so still trying to figure out the best schedule. So while that's coming up to temperature, I want to make sure that our power's connected here for the hydraulic press. I want to open up these dies. Now, I just have a waste plate on here, but you can see, all this scale. You don't want to be pushing that into the surface of your billet. So it's best to go ahead and clean those off every once in a while. So you got some Lemmy playing in the background there, huh? Yeah, Mark, that's the whole reason why I started doing this live streaming. I'm like, I've got buddies of mine that are all working from home, and give them something to listen to or watch, in a YouTube browser. My buddy Tim says it's the best way to take a meeting. So I think one more time with the hydraulic press, everything seems to be really nice and uniform. I think I got a good weld. I don't see any unusual cooling. Everything seems very consistent. So no cold shuts. We'll see if the power hammer works again. But since Nate ruined it by watching the stream, see if he's still listening. See, I figured out a way to blame it on you, buddy. Cologne, huh? That's the home of Kelch. Ameribraid? I'm not familiar. Yeah, I'm not familiar with them. The only ones that I use are Industrial Abrasives, which is located fairly close to me in Reading, Pennsylvania. Sandy will make any belt you need there. And then when I'm visiting a buddy of mine down in Gettysburg, I stop down at Super Grit. So let's see if this power hammer, see if that belt's cooled off a little bit. Definitely not perfect. Accept terms. Now I get it. It's all based on one of those damn, on a EULA, end user license agreement. Well, Mark, first off, what you're looking for is a 2x72 grinder. And so here's my thing. On a belt, let me grab a couple of belts as an example. So here we go. This is a 1x42 belt. Now this is ceramic, and I think I spent, I want to say like $2.08 for this ceramic belt. I mean, I also have the aluminum oxide ones as well. They're not much different. But that's 1x42, whereas, so this one, I've got two different grits in my hand. Like $2, maybe $3.25, I think, for the 36 grit belt. 120 is a little bit cheaper, and that's on 2x72. So for just a couple pennies more, I'm getting 4 times the life out of that belt. So while you look at like a 1x42 grinder or a 1x30 grinder, and you say the entry cost is much cheaper, but over the course of just a couple of projects, you're going to end up spending so much more on belts because you're going to have to constantly change them. So spending the money on 72, even like a Grizzly G1015, which you use those here in the shop. You know, we're talking a grinder that can be had for less than $700, oftentimes just a little bit more than $500. I think that's going to end up saving you some money in belts in about 6 months. The squareness, build it up a little bit. Yeah, that was a Grizzly G1015. I'm not sure what the current price is on Amazon, but I've got 3 of them here in the shop. for an entry level grinder, they're great, and that's the reason why I have them here in the shop. You know, I wanted to find the best value for a 2x72 because I teach so many classes, and I don't think it's I don't think it's necessarily, you know, the smartest thing when I have students come in who are just starting out. I don't need to have a $2,500 grinder for them to use. I want to show them, you know, what the entry level is. So I am just finishing out this billet. I've just re-welded it. So now we need to draw it out longer, and then I'm going to be forging to shape. So. Yeah, I definitely need to do some belt adjustment on that. So, I guess I'll mess around with that during my break. But what I'm going to do now is just use the rolling mill to start drawing this down. Whew. Yeah, we don't even know your name. Nice thing is, the internet's all about, you know, privacy, right? Except for when my credit card number gets stolen, then it's not private at all. There we go. So I'm just adjusting these rollers. Now we're going to start rolling this material out. I'm really just going to take it down to about a quarter of an inch. There you go. It seems to be about the right setting. I really like to forge with thicker steel and forge it down thin. When you start out with stuff that's, you know, really thin to begin with, it doesn't forge as nice. You end up being, you know, a lot more careful, but it just gives you more room to work. I'd still like to get another ½ inch out of this blade. I don't have room for another grinder in here. I've got 4 right now, and one of them actually is holding clamps. There we go. So that's starting to draw down nicely. Again, I just adjust this about 1/3 of a turn every other heat. And I want to make sure that I'm turning it in between that as well, because I want to make sure that I'm drawing down nice and even throughout the whole billet. I can also go ahead and turn down my pressure a little bit. I don't need this at welding temperature anymore. We've already got the weld set. So now it's all just about drawing this material out. The thing with a rolling mill, by nature, it doesn't widen any steel. Unlike the power hammer or the press, because they're just hitting a very small, an isolated area. And so when they come down, the steel goes, off to the sides, but also out the front and the back. But with the rolling mill, because it's constantly moving, it's actually just elongating. It's just going front and back. And it really doesn't change the size of your material at all. So it's really nice when you it's just really nice when you're trying to work a billet down to a certain size. Yes, Nate, I know I could probably use a camera a little bit closer. Let me see if I can fix that for you. Got to move my iced tea, though. That's as close as I can get it. I need a camera right here above my head. I need one pointing straight down. And instead of having my DSLR over here, I need to get need to find like an HDMI out style video camera that I can run into a capture card of the PC, and then put a VESA mount arm on the wall so I can just move it where I want. Yes, you're right. I do need to secure this down to the ground a little bit better. The motor holds the right side down very well. That damn left side that doesn't have any bolts. Ugh. Got the big fan right here. So that feels wonderful. Yeah, I thought about a camera directly over both anvils. That'd be kind of cool to have it top down. Might also be kind of dizzying. Nate, how's that leather coming along? Figure out your colors yet? Yeah, normally this one camera that I just moved closer to the rolling mill, when I'm forging like on this anvil right here, I put it just facing right down on it. So it's about 3 o'clock. Huh. I'm gonna give it about another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna take a break. Um, Mark, I do have a really cool gimbal for filming, but I haven't tried using it live. Yeah, I'll take a break and need to charge my microphone, need to charge my in-ear monitors. Need to make some dinner. Then I'll come back when it's a little cooler outside. Oh, hello, Mr. Stewart. You did get here. You did get here a little late. I've only been forging for about 3 hours right now. I'm getting ready to take a break, and then I'll probably be back about 6 o'clock or so. Have some dinner. Got to check on my ducks. Turning into quite the escape artist. Whew. Definitely a warm day here in the shop. It'd be nice to just sit down, a little bit of air conditioning. Wash my face a little bit, or a lot. Yeah, Rick, this is going to be a regular thing here from the shop. Figure if I'm going to be out here working, I might as well stream it, right? Building stuff on the porch, huh? Hope the weather's a little nicer for you up in the northern part of the state. We're just creeping into the mid 90s today down here. Of course, doesn't help having the forge going. So we've got our billet down to about 3/8 of an inch. And I'm going to check the length here really quick. Again, I want to take this a little wider than what it is right now. Yeah, it's 7 inches exactly. So if I take that down later on when we come back from my little break. So if I take it down about half that thickness, that'll give us twice the length. That'll give us 14 inches overall, which I was aiming for. I was aiming for 12 to 14 inches on this chef's knife overall length. But I definitely I definitely want it wider. Right now, let's see what we're sitting at. Should be at 1.5 inches, I think. Yep, 1.5 inches. I'd like to get another 1/2 inch of width out of there. So in order to do that properly, I may have to stick with 12 inches overall length because that mass is going to go ahead and come out towards the edge. So I'd also, if I'm going for 2 inches on this for the width of this blade, then I'm going to need to forge it down to about 2 1/4. 2 1/8 would probably be pushing it, but I want to allow for any areas that I need to, fix, that I need to compensate for. So, but this has been a solid 3 hours of forging. Lots of people, coming in and out, saying hello. Thanks so much for keeping me company this afternoon. And I'll be back again. I'm shooting for 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and that's when we're going to take this billet. We're going to take this billet, and we're going to be turning this into a chef's knife. This is actually a matching piece for one that I did a week and a half ago. It's just going to be the bigger version of it. So this has been a great knife to use. And I've taken that down. Our thickest part's about 1/8 of an inch. And then, of course, just distal tapers down. So, there's definitely ways to get the length out of the material that we want. Mark, I'm glad it was enjoyable for you, because 3 hours of just, constant working, and not to mention the pressure of doing all this stuff live. I mean, it's not like when I film stuff here in the shop where I get to edit out all my bloopers. I actually have to be a little careful about what I'm doing. What I mean to say is I don't make any mistakes. I do everything tried and true. That is a total lie. But yes, Nate, I feel a little hot and dirty right now. So it will be nice to maybe go grab a cold shower and come back into the shop when it's a little cooler. Hopefully it'll cool down a little bit in the next 3 hours or so. But, well, thanks again, guys, for watching. I will be back in just a few hours to work on this chef's knife, and hopefully we'll get everything forged out during then. And Friday we'll work on doing the handles and doing all the final polish and etching it and seeing how our pattern comes out in the Damascus. But appreciate every single one of you being here, and I will be back later on this evening. Hopefully you can join us then. Just